Hello everyone, my name is David A. Cox and I am the CEO and founder of a free public service called PCClassesOnline.com. We are the world's first live virtual classroom service designed specifically for baby boomers and beyond. And today I'm going to show you everything you need to know to get started with the brand new operating system for the iPhone called iOS7. Now, if you've just purchased your first iPhone, this class will provide you with everything you need to get up and running. We are going to be reviewing, of course, all the brand new features in iOS 7, but also everything a new user would need to get up and running. If this is the very first time you've ever heard of us, or if you're watching us on YouTube, I hope you'll give this video a thumbs up and also check out our website at PCClassesOnline.com. As I said, we are a free service and we teach live classes on the Mac, PC, iPhone, iPad, and other web services like Spotify, how to build a website, and more. It's amazing what we can teach you how to do right from the comfort of your own home. There's no gimmick, it really is free. The only thing that we ask in return is that you tell your friends. Our service exists because, frankly, it needs to exist. People need to have a way to easily learn how to better use their gadgets, and we want to be the front runners when it comes to free e-learning. This special class will also have a subtitle option available in the next few days for those of you who are hard of hearing. So now, without any further ado, it is my pleasure to present to you our new to iPhone and iOS 7 class. Hello everyone and welcome back to the class. Now, some of you may have picked up on the fact that the time has dramatically changed since I recorded the opening to this video. The reason why is we started to record it and we actually did about 11 takes and we kept getting interrupted, whether it was by phone calls, text messages, Facebook notifications, Twitter notifications. Welcome to my life. So, what we decided to do was we stayed over and we had dinner. We waited after dinner, and it is now 12:17 in the morning, and we wanted to put out a video for all of you. So if that doesn't show commitment, I don't know what does. So let's get on, and we're going to go over new to iPhone and iOS 7. And the first place I really want to start for those people who are brand new to their iPhone is I want to go over what the different buttons do. Okay, so I'm going to use my little cursor here. It's a little small, a little hard to see, but on the screen, on the front part of the phone, the only button that's on the front is called the home button. If you're ever in an app and you want to get back to the main screen, all you have to do is press that button. Next is up here at the very top of the phone. It's the only button on the top, and it is called the sleep switch. Now, if you click that once, it'll put your phone to sleep. Now, to wake up your phone, you can either press the sleep switch again, or you can press the home button, and it comes right back to the lock screen. Now, if you were to hold this sleep switch, which I can actually do real quick, just to show you what happens, you'll get a little screen that says slide to power off. If you do that, you can guess what happens. I'll hit cancel. Over here on the, excuse me, over here on the left-hand side, we have a little toggle switch right here. And that button is your silent mode switch. So if you're in a movie theater, for example, all you have to do is just toggle that to the on position. And you can see there, it turned the ringer off for a second before my phone went to sleep. And then down here below it, we have the volume up and volume down buttons. Now, the next thing I want to go over is what some of the different combinations of buttons can do. A bunch of little tricks that everyone should know what to do. Okay, so to start, I'm going to start off with one of the most important ones. Let's say you're on your phone one day and something goes wrong. Maybe an app crashes, the phone freezes on you, okay, and hitting the home button doesn't do anything, hitting the sleep switch doesn't do anything. Here's what you do. I'm going to teach you how to do something called a hard reset. And to do this, you're going to press and hold at the same time the sleep switch and the home button. And you're not going to let go until you see an Apple logo appear on your screen. I can't do that right now because we'll lose this connection. but that's how you do a hard reset. Another one I want to talk about, I was just giving a talk to a bunch of parents about cyberbullying recently, and one of the tricks I was showing them is how you can take a screenshot of your phone. So let's say your kid receives an inappropriate text message. It's a way to prove that it happened. You can take a photo of what's on your screen. And the way you do that is very similar. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to click and release at the same time very quickly the sleep switch and the home button. When you do that, you're going to hear a sound effect that sounds like a shutter. And when you go into the Photos app, you'll see a screenshot of whatever was on your phone at the time. Next, I want to show you one of the questions that I get the most. And it's especially for people who start to accumulate more and more apps. You might start to notice that your battery life isn't quite the way it used to be. Well, there's this feature in the iPhone called multitasking. And I'm going to show you first how it works. And let's say I go into my music app here, okay, and maybe I'm at the gym. I listen to my music, and when I'm done, of course, I'd hit the home button, go back to the main screen, and then maybe I go into my calendar. I have the little calendar app there at the bottom, okay, and I do my thing there. All right. Now, both of those apps are now running in the background at the same time. And it's not really an issue if you have one or two. It doesn't actually matter if you have really less than 15 running in the background. It's when you start to get higher than that, when you get into 20, 25, 30 apps all running at the same time in the background, that you may start to notice that your battery isn't quite what it used to be. So here's how you end multitasking. What you're going to do is double click the home button. 1, 2. Now, when you do that, you're going to see a little preview screen. You can actually slide with your finger, and that's the screen I left off on when I was on music. That's the screen I left off on when I was on calendar. Now, to quit these out, all you have to do is put your finger on this right here, this preview image, and slide up. And it whooshes away. Now, if you can see more than one, in this case you can see I have register over here. I can barely see that. You can actually take 2 fingers and you can swipe 2 out at a time. And it's just a good idea to do that periodically. I personally do it once every 3 days. You'll notice that on my phone, I don't actually have a ton of apps. I don't really feel the need to. I just keep the ones that I really use more than anything. So as long as you go through every few days and clear those out, you'll be in great shape. Next, I want to show you a couple new features that are available in the brand new operating system, iOS. Now, if in the past, if you were to try to slide your screen from left to right now, you'd get a search screen. It's called Spotlight, and you can search for really anything in the phone. Now, in order to get the search function, what you're going to do is take your cursor somewhere around here, somewhere in the main screen, and just pull down. Now, here's the key thing. You don't want to do it from the very, very top because that's something else. So that's why I say try to do it somewhere in this area. So just pull down, and I can now search for anything. It'll search through my music, my movies, contacts, emails, you name it. Okay, it's an easy way to find things, especially if you have a lot of data in your phone. Now, the next that we're going to be talking about is Control Center. This is a brand new feature in iOS 7, and basically it's a shortcut to get to a lot of the different settings that you will need access to somewhat frequently. And the way you do it is you're going to put your finger at the very bottom of the screen and swipe up. And when I do, you'll see my different options here. Oh, we got a little delay. There we go. So here are some of the different options you have. This right here, the little airplane, as you can probably guess, is airplane mode. It'll shut off cellular and Wi-Fi capabilities on your phone. The next is for Wi-Fi only. It'll turn the Wi-Fi on or off. This little symbol right here, in case you're not familiar with it, is Bluetooth. Next, we have Do Not Disturb, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. We'll come back to that. And then finally, over here on the right-hand side, we have Lock Orientation. You're not going to use this as much on the iPhone as you will maybe on an iPad, but basically what it will do is if I'm in an app where I can tilt my phone to the side, also known as landscape mode, my phone won't change orientation. Okay, it'll lock it however it is. Now below that, we of course have our brightness controls. And then beneath that, we have our music controls. If you didn't know, the triangle is the universal symbol for play. 2 triangles pointing to the right is the universal symbol for next track. And 2 to the left is previous track. Below that, we have our volume, another volume control here. Now, below here where you see it currently says David's MacBook Air has to do with the software that we use so that I can do this class for all of you. But that is where you'll find a feature called AirPlay. So as an example, there's a device called Apple TV. And if you have Apple TV, it plugs right into your normal television. Sometimes you might have photos that you want to share with your friends and family. If you tap on AirPlay right there, you'll see your Apple TV appear, and you can mirror whatever is on your phone on your television. So that's how you would do that. And then finally here at the very bottom of the screen, you're going to find shortcuts to 4 commonly used apps. The first is a flashlight. So it's great if you're trying to find your keys or you can't get the key in the lock. You just hit that button and boom, it'll turn the flash on your phone. Next, we have the clock. I don't get this icon. I don't think it actually really looks that much like a clock. But anyways, that is the clock app. Next, we have the calculator, for those of you who are mathematically challenged, me. And finally, over here, we have the camera. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about are some of the things you can actually do on your phone from the lock screen. So let's go back to that. So right here from the lock screen, you can actually do quite a few different things. Let's say you're walking down the street and you suddenly notice that the most beautiful sunset is in front of you. Well, you want to get right into your phone, right? You don't want to have to go through apps and folders in order to get to your camera. So one trick is you can put your cursor, you can put your finger right down here at the very bottom right and slide up. And when you do that, you'll see it launches the camera. You're now looking at my computer. Ignore that. Go back to where we were. Another thing you can do from the lock screen is if you look at the top and bottom, you'll see that we have these 2 little lines here. The one at the bottom is exactly what we were just talking about. That's another, you can of course get into Control Center from here. And the other is at the very, very top, and this is called Notification Center. So Notification Center is where you can go, oh, that's not the happiest of news. Let's get off that screen. Okay, so for example, under today, it'll show me that I have an appointment with Dr. Ben later today at 11:30 in the morning. But it'll have things like what's on your calendar, calls that you've missed text messages, etc. So it's an easy way to get to your appointments, I guess. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about some of the settings in the iPhone. Okay, there's a lot of different settings. We're going to talk about a lot of the main ones that are important to most people. Airplane mode, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, those are all things that we've really already discussed. You can go in, of course, and join a wireless network, hook up your phone with a Bluetooth device, whether it's your car or a headset. Personal hotspot you may or may not see depending on who your carrier is and if you have hotspot included in your plan. Basically, what a hotspot is it essentially turns your phone into a router. So you can take your phone and you can make other products connect to the internet. Scrolling down through this list, you can see here we have our different settings for Notification Center and Control Center. You can kind of tweak them to have what information you want. And then we have Do Not Disturb mode, which I talked about just a moment ago. So here's what Do Not Disturb mode does. Now, there's technically 2 versions of it. There's a manual mode and there's a scheduled mode. Now, when manual is turned on, which you can do during the day, I was trying to do it earlier, but it didn't seem to do enough good for us to do a good class. If someone tries to call you, it will go to voicemail unless certain conditions take place, which we'll go over in a minute. But it will not light up your phone will not ring. If Facebook notifications or emails come in, it's very similar to mute or silent mode. Now, if you scroll down, this is where this part gets important. You can schedule Do Not Disturb mode, and I love this feature. So if you are like me, I charge my phone, of course, next to my bed. I don't want my phone lighting up in the middle of the night. I don't want to hear who's liked my most recent post on Facebook. So by scheduling Do Not Disturb mode during those hours, if someone sends that kind of a message, my phone isn't going to light up. It's not going to vibrate. It's not going to ding. It's just going to be silent. Now, as soon as 9 o'clock hits in the morning, it'll act as it normally would. Now, there are a few conditions where people can get through to you. If you look down here, if someone is listed in your favorites, in your contacts, they will be able to call you. The other thing is that there's this feature called repeated calls, which I would recommend turning on. Basically, what it does is if someone, let's say, is in a car accident and they call you and it's the middle of the night, you may not ring, okay, it goes to voicemail. If they call you again within 3 minutes, it will ring the second time. So if your phone goes off in the middle of the night and you do use Do Not Disturb mode, it means it's either someone who is important and in your favorites, or it's someone who could be in an emergency since they've tried to call you twice. Okay? Going back a screen into settings, we're going to go into General. Now, Software Update, which you see there at the very top, is where you go to update the operating system for the phone, which in this case is iOS7. It is not where you go to get updates for the various apps in your phone. That's somewhere else. Siri settings are right here. Again, Siri is the personal voice assistant in the phone. You can now choose to have Siri be male or female. And at the bottom, you'll see here it says My Info. Basically, what that's going to do is it's going to ask you to tap in your address book on your name. And what you're doing is you're just telling Siri, this is me. So, as an example, if I'm, say, 100 miles away and I tell Siri, give me directions home, it needs to know where is home. So, it's talking to my address book. Some other things we can do here in general, we can adjust the text size. So if you have trouble reading the way it comes, this is the size of the font when it comes here. When it comes on the phone, I like it just a little bit bigger. Okay, some people like it a lot bigger. Okay, and you can actually even go more than that, technically, in the accessibility feature, which is right below it. And you can kind of go through some of these here. Auto lock and passcode lock mean that you can make it so that when you turn your phone on, you have to enter in a password in order to access the data. Okay. Let's say one day you eventually sell your iPhone. You're going to want to go here into Reset at the bottom. And you'll see here that the second option listed right there is Erase All Content and Settings. That's the easiest way to wipe the data out on your phone. Ooh, now one thing I want to actually show you, let me go back to where I was, is in the past, when you've had to go back a screen, you've needed to tap up here at the top left. Now what you can do is you can actually take your finger from the left-hand side and slide to the right, and it'll do the exact same thing. Now, if you go into sounds, I tried to do this earlier, and for whatever reason, it crashed the software that we use for the virtual classroom. But if you go into sounds, there's a whole bunch of new ringtones. You can tell the phone what sounds you want it to make when you get an email, a tweet, a Facebook notification, you name it. Wallpapers and brightness, of course, is the background to your phone. You can either use one of your photos or one of the ones that Apple provides you with. If you want to learn about iCloud, what I would recommend that you do is go to pcclassesonline.com. We have an entire class devoted to iCloud. It's a very, very difficult topic to teach just because it's different for everyone. No one has the same settings. So some people sync their data one way, some people sync their data another way. Now, the last feature I want to really go over here in settings that's important, that's especially a new feature, is actually located in messages. Let's say, for whatever reason, you have someone who maybe calls you at inappropriate times, or more likely inappropriately calls you or texts you, that kind of thing. There's a new feature at the very bottom you'll see here called Blocked. And what you can do is you can add someone's information, their phone number, their email address, and if they try to text you, if they try to call you, or if they try to FaceTime call you, it will not allow them to do so. So that is a brand new feature. I'm actually really glad that they did that. It was overdue, so good for you, Apple. let's see. The next thing we're going to talk about are creating folders for apps. Give me 1 second here so I can set up. It's actually still the way I had it before I did this. Okay, so let's say you start to get a lot of apps together. It's really nice to put them together in an organized fashion. So you can see here on mine, this is my iPhone after all. I have a folder here for my photography apps. I have a folder here for my different tech tools. And the way you do it is very similar to the way that you delete an app, and that's what we're going to go over also. The way you create a folder is you're going to press and hold on any app. And when you do that, they're going to start to jiggle like that. Now you'll see some apps have an X at the top left of them. That, when you press that, is how you delete an app. If I were to try to do it for Facebook, it would give me a little pop-up and say, are you sure you want to delete it? If I hit yes, boom, it's deleted. Now to create a folder, what you're going to do is take the app that you want and you're going to drag it and drop it into the one that you want it to become a folder with. So in this case, I've taken Messages and FaceTime and put them together into a folder, and my phone automatically tries to figure out what am I going to call this folder. Now it chose the word productivity. Maybe I don't want to call it that. Maybe I want to call it communication. So what you can do is if you look, there's a little X right next to where it says productivity. I can tap on that and I can type in communication. Hey, I spelled it right. Hit done and it'll stay that way. Now when you're done creating your folders, moving your apps around, you can hit the home button and it'll lock it in. Let me go to my little cheat sheet here, and next we're going to talk a little bit about the camera. Now I'm in my office. It's almost approaching 1 o'clock in the morning, so we're not going to actually do any real photos right now. So I'm just going to show you the screen. I'm just kind of laying my phone on my desk as we speak. Now, what I'm going to show you right now is one of my favorite little tips. For those of you who've been following our classes for a while, you may know that I live in Provincetown, Massachusetts, the very tip of Cape Cod. And of course, we have a beautiful place that we live in. People are always taking photos of their friends. And when I go out and I see people taking photos, a lot of times I'll see them using this button on the screen to take the photo. There is a much better way to do it. First of all, you should know photos always look best if they're taken horizontally, also known as landscape mode. And instead of using that on-screen shutter button, which is technically what it is, there's a better way. If you tap the volume plus button up here on the side of the phone, that button will act as a shutter. And what's also great is in the new operating system, let's say you've got something going on and it's fast action, it's moving really quickly. You can actually hold that button down and it'll keep taking photos. On the brand new iPhone 5S, it'll actually take 10 photos a second, and then you can choose the best one out of that bunch. Now, there's a couple different modes for taking photos and also video. You can see right now at the very bottom it says that I'm on the standard photo mode. If I take my finger and I swipe from left to right, it's going to move over into video mode. So now at this point I'm shooting video. I'm actually getting feedback right now. I'm going to switch off that. If I go back the other way, you can see there's an option to shoot square mode. It'll just shoot it in the shape of a square. And then pano is panorama. And to do that, what you do is you start your phone and you just kind of rotate your body to the right and it will stitch a panorama for you. Let's get back to the main photo app. Now, down here at the bottom right, there's also a new feature here, and this is for photo effects. When you tap on that, I can't really show it to you right now, but there's all these different lighting effects. It'll make it look old, it'll make it look black and white, that kind of thing. It's kind of a cool effect that you can add to your photos. Now up here at the, get out of that. Up here at the top left, you'll see your flash function. Now if you're on an iPhone 5, not 5S, or before, personally I don't recommend using the flash just because it typically doesn't look that good. Another thing to be careful of is if you have a case on your phone, a lot of cases have a problem where the light, when it comes out of the flash, it'll refract back into the lens, and you get this kind of blown out, ghosty image. So I typically leave my flash turned off. I just find photos look better. Now, if you're using the iPhone 5S, it has a dual flash. One is a cool color temperature, the other is a warm color temperature, and those actually do look pretty good. And then up here at the top right, we have a button to switch the camera, so it'll go from the back camera to the front-facing camera. We're not going to do that because none of you want to see me in my bathrobe. And if you go down here to the bottom left, that's where you can tap to see the photo you most recently took. In this case, it's showing you actually the screenshot that I took a little while ago. Next, we're going to be talking a little bit about Siri. Now, again, like with iCloud, if you want to really learn all the different things that Siri can do for you, I recommend that you go to our website at pcclassesonline.com. We have an entire class on all the different commands that Siri can do, and there's quite a few of them. So to activate Siri, the way you do it is you press and hold on the home button here at the bottom. And Siri can do anything from tell you the upcoming weather, what your calendar is looking like. Siri can make phone calls, it can read you text messages, it can dictate. There's a whole giant list of different things that he, she, it can do. So let's just do one as an example. Siri, what is the weather going to be like today?
The weather's looking good today, up to 68 degrees Fahrenheit and sunny.
So there you go. That's just one of many, many things that Siri can do for you. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the different features the phone can do. At this point, I will mention that there's a very good chance there's going to be black bars on your screen in case any phone numbers come up. Okay, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go here into voicemails, and I have a voicemail from a client of mine whose number is not stored in my phone. One of the things I wanted to do for all of you is I wanted to show you how you can very easily add someone's information into your address book. You'll notice there's a little lowercase I over here next to what over here is a phone number. None of you can see it. And when you tap on that I is actually called the inspector. If you are on a PC, you ever switch to a Mac, you'll find that the inspector comes up a lot. It basically means more information. And you'll see here, when I tap on that at the very bottom, I can either create a new contact from that information, or I can add it to an existing contact. Let's say if I have a friend's email address, but I don't have their phone number, I can combine the information together. Another thing you can do is, let's go into one of my normal contacts. Again, we're going to have to blur out some of this information. Okay, so here I have the contact information for a friend of mine. Sorry, I know you just got all, you couldn't see any of that. So here you can see I have a friend of mine, Ben Peg, and I've scrolled down to the bottom of his contact card, and I want you to notice that there's this button that says Add to Favorites. Basically what that means is if you look here at the bottom left of my screen, there's a little button here, a star, for favorites. And so what you can do is you can have people who you constantly keep in touch with. You can have really fast access to them. You don't have to go scrolling through all of your contacts just to get to them. Next, what I want to do is I want to talk about some of the features in the Mail program. Again, sorry, you're going to probably see some black bars. Ooh, I think we lucked out with this one. That's because you're looking at my fake account right now. So this is the new Mail program, and I have a slight issue with some of the changes they did here, really just one issue. Now, in the past, when you saw your list of email messages, you were able to slide your finger from left to right, and you'd see an option to delete. Unfortunately, that feature is for some strange reason gone. Now, if you want to delete messages, the only two ways that you can do it are to tap the edit button here at the top right, tap on the messages you want to get rid of, and then hit archive or delete at the bottom of your phone. Or you can actually go into the email and hit the trash or archive button. That icon will actually change depending on what email service you use. Now, I also want to talk about what the different buttons do down here at the bottom. We're now in an email, okay? And down here at the bottom right, we have our Compose button. You can see it looks like a pen on paper. Next, we have, it's technically a share button. So you have reply, forward, and print that you can do. If you have an AirPrint compatible printer, you can print the email out. Or if you go to our classes, we can show you how to make a non-AirPrint printer print. Next, you may have a waste paper basket icon or this box. Again, that depends on what service you're using. Should you use different folders to organize your email? Some people, for example, have a folder for receipts. That's where you can tap right here and put this email into a folder. And flag. You can have whatever system you want for flagging. Usually if I have an email that is urgent, I'll flag it so that I know to go back to it later on. Next, we're going to be talking about a new feature that's part of the Music app, which is Apple has introduced this new feature called iTunes Radio, which is essentially the exact same thing as Pandora. So what you can do is you can tell iTunes who your favorite artists are, and you can create a radio station on the fly. I'm a big fan. You can kind of figure it out just by looking at this. I'm a big fan of Maroon 5, Katy Perry, Lady Gaga. So I can tap on my Maroon 5 radio, and it'll start to play music. I'm going to pause it right there. Now, you can skip up to 5 songs at a time before you have to listen to one. But it's a nice service. It's free. You can hit star if you want to remember your favorites. And if you like the song and you want to download it, where you see in this case it says $1.29 at the top right, if I tap on that, I'll buy the song. Also, you see that little I, again, at the very top, the inspector. If I tap on that, I can find out information about this artist. I can actually say create a new station based on this artist or this song. Okay, I can share this station with my friends. A couple other options there. And that's kind of iTunes Radio. Next, we're going to go into the Photo app, which is a little bit different, and I have a little bit mixed feelings on it. For the most part, I like it. So it has different views that it'll show your phone. It has different ways that it'll show you your photos. So you can see them in different groups. If you look at the top left, it says Collections and Moments. So if I go to Collections, it'll kind of pull back, and I can see this giant list of photos, basically, all grouped together. In some cases, it's by where I was. Saw that some of these I was in Greenwich, Connecticut. I was on a gig. Others in Provincetown. Okay, and whereas in Collections, or Years rather. When I'm in year mode, I can kind of go through here, and if I leave my finger over one of the areas, it'll actually show me a preview of the photo that I'm hovering over. Okay? Kind of a cool thing that I can do. It actually just became full screen because of the fact that I'm in airplane mode. Ignore that. So it's kind of an interesting new take on the Photos app. And the other app that has kind of had a fairly dramatic change is the Calendar app. Now, this is the one app that I have to say, from my own personal standpoint, I don't like this change. I really liked having the month view where you could see you had kind of a split screen effect where you could see what you had going on that date. You kind of have that, but I'm just not as much a fan of the way it is now as it was in the past. Now, the way I do like is if you look at the very top, there's this little spyglass. And if you tap on that, it'll just kind of show you all of your upcoming appointments. Okay, so it'll show me, here's what I have today, here's what I have tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And you can kind of go through that. It's a nice, I think that's the cleanest way to check out your different events on your calendar. Of course, as with anything in the iPhone, they're very, very consistent with the way you do things. So let's say I want to add a new event to my calendar. You'll see that there is a plus symbol at the top right, which, of course, what does plus mean? It means add. And when you want to add a new event to your calendar, you just tap on that. And it's very similar to the way it used to be. You type in your title, location. You can then type in the start and end time. Okay. You can choose what calendar it goes on, etc. Well, everyone, we have covered a lot of information today. And as I said earlier, if you've really enjoyed this video, please do be sure to give us a little thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you'd like to learn even more, not just even about your iPhone, but about your iPad, Mac, PC, how to build a website, social media, you name it, please visit our website. It's pcclassesonline.com. We are a free public service, and the only thing we ask in return is that you tell your friends. Our service, as I said at the very beginning, we exist because we need to exist. People need to have a way to learn this kind of stuff. This is David A. Cox, the founder and CEO of pcclassesonline.com, and you all have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.